let's discuss camera options. Now, as I told you at the beginning of this course, I'm really gearing this toward people who are perhaps shooting themselves in a small space, perhaps in your home or office, where you don't have room for a lot of equipment, you don't have the budget for a lot of high-end equipment. You really want something that's easy to use, easy to set up, gets the job done, and still delivers high-quality video. So that's what I'm keeping in mind for this. I'm not going to go into a lot of the technical know-how or even recommend that you get recording devices that are high-end, because they're going to be a lot more complicated to use, and what you're wanting to do is keep it simple. So let's start off by talking about some options of what not to use, what to use, pros and cons of each. First of all, the GoPro. This is something that many of you might have because they're becoming hugely popular all over the world. They're very small, very portable, very inexpensive, and they shoot really amazing video outdoors. They're great for time-lapse, they're great for action, sporting events, but they're not good for doing these kinds of talking head webinars. They're not good indoors in low light. They're just, that's not what they're made for. So use these when the purpose is to show a unique angle, or if you're in a confined space like a car or in a boat where you want to get a wide perspective. These are great. But and there might be a time when you need them, but for the majority of use for doing talking head style webinars, they're not really the ideal camera. Another type of camera that many people might have is a DSLR video camera, or DSLR camera that shoots video. More and more DSLR still cameras are coming with the capability of shooting video now, and they're great, but they often require having another person, and even more importantly, they require a certain technical knowledge of things like f-stop, aperture, shutter speed, focusing. So it's a lot more technical. Perhaps later on in another video course, I'll go into how to use DSLR cameras to shoot video. But again, for trying to do something yourself and quick and easy, it's not really the most viable option. Now, the other thing that I'll mention before I go any further is that it's important to keep in mind that cameras, just like any technology, are constantly being innovated and adapted and changed. So what's relevant right now while I'm making this video may not be relevant 6 months or a year from now. So rather than go into the specific makes and models of each camera that I'm describing, I'm going to have a resource section specifically for cameras. So if you're curious as to what kind of cameras I recommend, you can always check there for the latest updated information on camera makes and models. With that said, let's continue talking about other cameras that are very viable to use. One is a webcam, pure and simple. Many of you might already have these. Many of you might have computers with built-in webcams. Now let me say a cautionary piece of advice if you plan on using the built-in webcam on your computer. First of all, they're sometimes limiting because the quality is not as good. Either the frame rate is not going to be as high, so you're going to get choppy video, or it might not be HD. It might be just VGA quality. And in that case, I don't really suggest using those. Getting an external webcam, they're not that expensive now, and it gives you much more versatility because they often have a very long cord, which this one is wrapped up, but it allows you to mount it in different places to get different angles and different looks depending on where you're shooting. Furthermore, if you get 2 of these, then you can do a 2-camera shoot. This one is a webcam that plugs into a USB on your computer. This is a wired webcam. It shoots in HD, that's 1080p. And you can also get wireless webcams now that still shoot in HD. So if you don't even want to deal with a USB cord, you can get wireless. Now, with that said, talking about HD for a minute, is it important? How important is it? Well, This is something that we'll discuss in videos when we actually go into using the camera equipment, but suffice it to say that having experienced that shift going from standard definition about 5 years ago now into the high definition market, I can tell you that it's much more beneficial if you can always record in the highest quality possible. Things that I shot years ago that I shot in standard definition, I wish I had shot in higher quality, even if at the time I was only going to use or have the final video be standard definition. It still would be nice, because you never know how you're going to repurpose something, it still would be nice to have it in the high definition so that I could use it now and have it high definition like every other video on the market. So when you're shooting video, it's always a good idea to shoot it in the highest quality possible. And these days, HD cameras are really inexpensive, so it doesn't take a lot to get high quality. Another type of camera that I'll recommend for doing webinar videos, in addition to the webcam, is using a smartphone. This is something that many of you probably have these days, and most smartphones these days shoot in 1080p HD video. So if you have a smartphone with a camera on it that shoots video, particularly high definition video, then this will be just great. When we go into the video specifically on shooting with the cameras, I'll talk about certain apps that you can get for your smartphone to give you more control over the video. If you don't have a smartphone, another type of camera that you can use is one of these point and shoot video blogging cameras. These are also inexpensive, lightweight, very portable, easy to carry in your pocket or anywhere. And most of them have built-in USB connectors so that when you are done shooting, you can easily put it right into your computer. You don't need to find the cable and all of that nonsense. So the other thing that I like about these, they shoot HD. They also have a tripod mount, or an adapter for mounting it onto a tripod. And this comes in very handy when you're shooting yourself. The other thing that I'll mention about both the webcam and the video blogging point and shoot cameras is that most of them are auto-focusing, and they automatically adjust for the amount of light in the room. Now, you still want to properly light yourself, but it's easier when you can just set the camera and have it automatically adjust to the amount of light coming in. Well, with that said, let's discuss the next thing you'll need in terms of equipment, and that is having stability for your cameras in the form of a tripod.